Russian President Vladimir Putin has formally approved a new national policy strategy that outlines a long-term vision for consolidating a Russian identity, particularly within the Ukrainian territories it claims to have annexed. The decree, titled National Policy Strategy to 2036, was published on the official portal for legal acts and sets ambitious targets for the next decade. The document states that its implementation will ensure political stability and strengthen national unity. A key objective is to shape how Russia is perceived abroad, aiming to create an objective perception of the country as a law-based state where citizens have equal rights. The strategy also mandates a fight against what it describes as manifestations of neo-Nazism, Russophobia, racism, and xenophobia, establish a long-term governmental framework that will take effect starting in January of next year. The document explicitly sets a target for 95% of the population in the Donetsk, Luhansk, Kherson, and Zaporizhzhia regions to identify as Russian citizens by the end of the strategy's timeline. President Putin stated that controlling these regions facilitates the restoration of unity for what he describes as the historical territories of Russia. The strategy mandates that pro-Moscow officials in these areas must implement measures to increase the use of the Russian language and counter any efforts by foreign nations to create ethnic or religious divides. Moscow has consistently argued that protecting the Russian-speaking community was a primary basis for launching its military operation. While officials in Kyiv reject these claims and insist there is no discrimination against Russian speakers. These legal moves come at a time when Russia does not fully control all the land it claims in these four regions. Yet the Kremlin is moving forward with administrative integration as if the borders were settled. The strategy introduced specific, quantifiable goals that the Russian government is expected to meet the year 2036. It calls for at least 90% of the population to report an absence of discrimination based on national identity and language. Furthermore, the policy aims for 95% of the country's population to exhibit a Russian civic identity and for 85% to view inter-ethnic relations positively. The decree also sets a goal to reduce the number of conflicts based on national identity. To promote these traditional values, the policy envisions using modern communication tools, including video hosting services, messaging applications, and blogs. A central focus of the new strategy involves the regions of Ukraine that Russia unilaterally annexed in 2022. The policy document frames the control of Donetsk, Luhansk, Kherson, and Zaporizhzhia as facilitating the restoration of the unity of the historical territories of Russia. For these areas, the strategy sets a 2036 target for nearly all residents to participate in nationwide events. With an estimated participation of some 2.5 million people, the decree orders authorities to strengthen the Russian language and identity, presenting this as a matter of national interest that extends to ethnic Russians around the world, not just citizens within the country's border. This new policy appears to be an extension of measures already being implemented in occupied Ukrainian territories. Recent reports from late 2025 detail various methods Russia is using to achieve societal integration. These include the expansion of youth outreach by the Kremlin-controlled Russian Orthodox Church and the institutionalization of military patriotic education programs for children. One such initiative in occupied Donetsk Oblast is the development of a war tourism program intended to bring Russian visitors to active war zones and sites associated with Russian military history. Occupation officials have stated that over 1 billion rubles will be invested in these tourism projects for 2026. The strategy emphasis on relocating and assimilating population is also reflected in other reported Russian actions. According to analysis, Russia may be planning to forcibly relocate Ukrainians to Siberia under a new Siberia development program, a concept reportedly discussed by Russian Security Council Secretary Sergei Shoigu. This would serve the dual purpose of stimulating economic growth in underdeveloped Russian regions and further depopulating occupied areas of Ukraine. Additionally, a Donetsk occupation official claimed that nearly 20,000 children from that region alone were sent to summer camp in Russia and occupied Ukraine during the summer of 2025, programs that are widely seen as mechanisms for Russification. Diplomatic tensions have surged following leaked reports that United States Special Envoy Steve Witkoff has been negotiating directly with Kremlin officials to finalize a peace plan, reportedly without the full involvement of Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. The leaked recording suggests that the framework being discussed favors Russian security interests and may involve sensitive territorial concessions that Kyiv has long opposed. President Donald Trump has downplayed the controversy surrounding these leaks, describing the envoy's interaction as standard negotiation tactics necessary to bring both sides to the table. However, the revelation has caused anxiety among European allies who feel that Ukraine is being forced into a deal that compromises its sovereignty. Reports indicate that the proposal has been fine-tuned by the Trump administrations and includes specific conditions regarding the Donbas region. While President Trump claims the peace plan is nearing completion, Russian diplomats have expressed skepticism, criticizing Washington for sending multiple and confusing versions of the proposal. The situation remains fluid as Ukrainian officials express fears of being sidelined in these high-stakes discussions that could determine the future borders of their country. In a show of regional solidarity, President Putin traveled to Kyrgyzstan for a summit where he held a significant meeting with Central Asian leaders. During his visit, he praised the leadership of Kyrgyz President Zaporizhzhia and confirmed that Russia plans to assume the presidency of the Collective Security Treaty Organization in 2026. The two leaders discussed a broad agenda that includes deepening cooperation in nuclear energy, digital technologies, and trade. On the sidelines of this summit, President Putin also met with Belarusian leader Alexander Lukashenko to discuss the ongoing integration of the Union state and the trajectory of the conflict in Ukraine. Lukashenko reaffirmed Belarus as Russia's closest ally and expressed willingness to host negotiations while also defending his country's diplomatic contacts with the United States. These high-level meetings highlight Moscow's effort to strengthen its alliance and ensure political stability within its sphere of influence as it navigates the complexity of the ongoing war and international sanctions. The conflict on the ground has potentially entered a dangerous new phase, with unverified reports emerging from Russian military bloggers claiming that North Korean troops have crossed into Ukraine. These reports allege that soldiers from the Democratic People's Republic of Korea arrived in the Zaporizhzhia region near Mariupol after completing training program in Russia. While Ukraine's Center for Countering Disinformation has denied these specific claims and Western intelligence has not confirmed them. The presence of North Korean troops inside Russia itself is well documented. Thousands of troops from Pyongyang have been deployed to the Kursk region to support Russian defensive operations and have supplied artillery and ammunition. If the reports of North Korean forces operating inside Ukrainian territory are proven true, it would mark the first time foreign soldiers have been deployed for offensive operations on Ukraine soil, a development that could trigger a severe response from NATO and Western allies. This growing military partnership between Moscow and Pyongyang underscores the internationalization of the conflict and the expanding resources available to the Russian military. On the front line, Russian forces have intensified their offensive campaign, particularly in the Donetsk region where they are threatening the strategic city of Siversk. Recent days have seen significant troops movement and the use of armored vehicles to breach Ukrainian defensive line. This escalation follows a massive missile and drone assault on Kyiv that targeted critical infrastructure and tested the resilience of Ukraine's air defense. Russian military officials report that their force have inflicted heavy personnel losses on Ukrainian troops across multiple sectors, including heavy clashes involving tanks and artilleries. A key factor in recent Russian successes has been the use of captured Ukrainian drones, which Moscow's forces are reverse engineering to understand enemy tactics and communication links. By integrating this intelligence into their combat operations, Russian units have improved their ability to conduct strikes and disrupt Ukrainian command network. The combination of relentless ground assaults and advanced electronic warfare is placing immense pressure on Ukrainian defenders as they struggle to hold vital positions against a numerically superior and adapting adversary. If you have made it this far, congratulations, you have unlocked the truth. I want to ask you a quick question though. Do you believe Putin's 2036 assimilation strategy will succeed in erasing Ukrainian identity from annexed territories? Or will resistance forces ultimately push back against this cultural genocide? The document's demand for 95% Russian citizen identity by 2036 represents one of history's most aggressive forced assimilation campaigns. And why? Join the debate. We want to hear your insightful opinion on where this is all heading in our community. Share your thoughts in the comments below. I appreciate your support. Thank you for being a part of this journey. Like the video, share this video with friends and family, hit the notification bell, and most importantly, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one.